Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
And thanks for staying with us here on the show. A big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise this morning. We have Newsflash, and it's proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Now, you can check them out. Our branches are open this morning. Please do well and drop by if you want to buy some gadgets from us. It's very simple. It's quality that we're selling, and you need to be there. And check out our branches nationwide, and you can get phones, you can get CCTV cameras. We're selling televisions. We have also, air conditions that you can also buy. If you're looking forward to buying some accessories, we're giving you a 40% discount on any accessory that you buy from us, and that's Franco Trading Enterprise. Don't forget that you can call us on the numbers you see on your screens, and you can also check out Google Play Store. You can find us over there. Download the app. It's the Franco Trading app, and our website is www.francotrading.com, and you can get all the details you need over there. Our branches, any inquiries you want to make, once you have the app in your hands, and you're also available on the website, you can actually get all that from there. Franco Trading Enterprise says still phones papa fee, and we're grateful to them this morning. And thanks to you for joining us. Don't forget that you can send your messages towards your contributions. Very much welcome. You can go on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook, so you can drop your messages in real time. And then you can also do so on our WhatsApp line. It's very active, so you can also send your messages over there, and I'll be reading them here on the show. Now, we're going to be checking out the front pages of the newspapers and what they have reported in a bit. Later, right after that, we'll be looking at our major issue. Now, the betting tax and also E-Levy and emission tax finally have been scrapped. Now, they're waiting for the president assent, and once that is done, GRA will be contacted for the necessary arrangement to be done so that you can have that effect on your transactions that moving forward. But that's another conversation that we'll be looking at this morning here on the show as part of what we're taking a look at. My guests have been seated here in the studio already. Let me introduce them, and then we'll go into the front pages of the newspapers. Then we'll begin our conversation this morning. I've been joined this morning by Mr. Osei Kwame Griffiths. He's here with us. He's a former director for National Identification Authority. How are you doing, sir? Good morning, and good to have you on the show. You slept well?
Oh, yes.
We're grateful for your time this morning. We've also been joined this morning by Mr. Ebo Backman. He's also a senior communicator for the Movement for Change. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning.
I like your outfit.
Oh, thank you.
I almost brought another fugu here this morning.
Yeah, I should have.
You would have been 2-2. Now it's 3-1.
Yeah, Ghana month. We are saying Ghana month, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it would have been good if you had brought it.
That's true. Yeah, we've taken it very personal on this platform, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Even when I saw the flyer, I saw your pictures everywhere.
Oh, that one. It's been how many years anyway?
And today, my first time appearing on your show. And I'm grateful. And it's a privilege to be sitting here and to be talking to Ghanaians. So I really appreciate it.
We're also grateful for your time, and thanks so much for making time for us this morning. And I also have over here Honorable Charles Aswaku Oredu joining us this morning. He's not new here. He's a family with us over here. He's a former Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and also MP for Ebrim. You spent time this weekend?
Yeah, I was in a town called Labodom. We lost one of our hard-working, party guys. So we went there to support the funeral, and as everything so far so good. The communities, and then the people, the chiefs. Yeah, so far it's going well.
Great. All right. Many thanks to all of you for your time this morning. And again, we say a big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise too for Papa Fee. This morning, they are making it possible for us to have this conversation. Please make sure you go and get your gadgets from them. Buy your phones. They have Nokia, they have Samsung, they have iPhones over there as well. And we've got accessories, whether it's a charger, it's AirPods, all of them you can get over there. And those of you who want to also get some air conditioning furnishings. Now, you want to monitor your homes when you're not around. Franco Trading Enterprise says we've got CCTV cameras for you, and it's very durable. Now, you can monitor anywhere at any time, and so just make your way there and get one for yourself, and you would never regret it. Franco Trading Enterprise is giving you a reason to trust some of these products out there, and we're selling quality. And so please do well and check us out. Download the app on your phone, so it's easier for you to see our branches and details that you need in terms of what number to call on and all of that. And it's Google Play Store, it's Franco Trading app, and then our website is www.francotrading.com, and you're good to go. It's that simple. Now, let me do quickly the newspapers we have over here. I've got the Ghanaian Times, the New Republic, and also have the Daily Democrat. Now, the Ghanaian Times this morning says Ghana Traditional Council bans drumming, noise making in Gamashi. It starts from May 12 to June 11, and so please take notes of that. The Parliament approves abolition of E-Levy. Page 4 has got a story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. You can find that story over there. Ghana ranks high in labor utility services, business insolvency, and World Bank reported on 2024 reports that is speaking on that. The big story over here says President names 72 DCEs in 8 regions pending approval by assemblies. That's also captured on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. At the back page, we've got Ghanaians urged to use water efficiently, and NADEF invest over 66 million Ghana citizen projects as corporate social responsibility. The New Republic is here this morning. It says that the Signal Gate scandal, James Bond's lawyer coup foiled. Tachia's fury as 32 more scramble for booty. That's on the front page of the New Republic. And 24-hour fuel station soon. Tabaklo call to security agencies. And Mahama's plan to pull schools and clinics off national grid for solar power. Cabinet gives thumbs up. And king of lavish parties, packed accounts, freeze mute party king. And strengthening gold regulations for city stability. That's also captured on the front page of the New Republic. And then the Daily Democrat says that NACOC naps a British citizen with cannabis. And away from that, the life and legacy of Benjamin Kwame Arthur, a philanthropist, business icon, and a pillar of faith. You can read about that as well. A Dubois in $7 million US scandal, AG on the move. That's also captured by the Daily Democrat this morning. And fuel stations to operate 24 hours. Calls for security agencies support. And that's the 24-hour economy. Some stories on that as well. So you can also check it out on Daily Democrat when you grab a copy this morning. That'll be all for the newspapers today. Now, just so you know, the Parliament has abolished the E-Levy, betting tax and emission levy. Now it is pending the President approval, and that will go to GRA for the necessary arrangement to be done. The minority actually demanded a head count after losing the voice votes on the special import levy. By the final count, still stood at 126 for the majority and 58 for the minority in Parliament. Don't forget that the E-Levy, as it is now, has over 23 million active Momo accounts, and this is actually good news for those who are on it. There were more than all as it stands right now. We've got over 400,000 active Momo agents, and the expected income was close to 7 billion Ghana cedis as in 2022, and we were not able to achieve that. We achieved a little over 592 million Ghana cedis out of that. The projection that we have in terms of revenue that was going to be raked in. Expected revenue from the E-Levy as in 2022 and 2024 was around 11.3 billion Ghana cedis, but we were able to actually realize 40% out of that target. Now, E-Levy was one of the levies that helped Ghana fast-track the IMF deal. Alternative arrangements have been made. Now, the government is looking forward to using the tax refund account and the gold bond initiative. But as to whether this will be able to make up for the amount of money that we'll be losing as we scrap our E-Levy, betting tax and emission levy, we're still going to be looking at exploring those avenues. But of course, that's how the statistics stands in terms of E-Levy as at the time that it was in session and at the time that it's been abolished. This morning, that's where our conversation is headed. You can send your messages to us. We'll be more than glad to read from you. Let me start off with Honorable. Honorable, are you excited about this? In fact, the minority says that it's a good thing now. Are we excited about it?
Yeah, good morning. I think that for every Ghanaian, once you are asked not to pay tax, you jubilate. Yes, because nobody loves paying taxes. Nobody wants to pay tax. Even in advanced countries, people always try to evade taxes. But we all know that those of us at the top echelon of the Ghanaian society, we always know that taxes are one of the main instruments that government globally, will use to develop an economy or to develop a country. So taxes are the instruments, for most governments. A bit of history on this particular taxes, that we are discussing now. Now, if you remember, in 2016, when the NPP won the elections, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won that landslide election. In our first budget, as presented by the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta in March 2017, there were about 11 taxes that we call nuisance taxes that we did scrap. We abolished the 1% special import levy, the 17.5% VAT NHIL on financial services, the 17.5% VAT NHIL on selected imported medicines, the 17.5% VAT NHIL on domestic airline tickets, if you remember. Then the 5% VAT on real estate and all that. And even levies on Kayaye, if you remember. Kayaye, the Kayaye tax. We had to abolish all these taxes. And, of course, Ghanaians were happy and all that. But once you do this, you need to have alternatives because they are revenue for government, revenue generation for government. So once you abolish the taxes, you need to find means of getting those revenues, for infrastructure development. Moving on to the last elections, prior to the 2024 elections, government somewhere in 2022 had imposed this electronic levy, covered levy, the levy on the betting tax and all that. I think that in the wisdom of government thought that these were ways that we could rake in more money, to increase our infrastructural development as a country. Ghanaians didn't take it lightly. So if you remember Dr. Bawumia, the vice president then, and then as at that time he had been elected the running mate of the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, in our manifesto launch, he did say that once he gets the opportunity, once he's elected as the president, he was going to abolish the E-Levy and the COVID levy and then other taxes that the Ghanaians were complaining about. NDC also did same. President Mahama then, as the presidential candidate of the NDC, also did say, and it's captured in their manifesto, that they were going to reduce charges at the ports, they were going to abolish the E-Levy, they were going to abolish the COVID levy, they were going to abolish the emissions tax, they were going to abolish the betting tax. So at least about 5, main revenue areas where they said that they were going to abolish. So having won the elections, overwhelmingly, Ghanaians were looking forward, to hear something positive from the president. Indeed, during his SONA speech, he did indicate that he had instructed his finance minister, to make sure that all these taxes as pledged, will be abolished. So that was what we were looking for. And then when the finance minister also came to parliament, he did present the budget. And then we realized that out of the 5 or 6 taxes that the President John Dramani Mahama, said that he was going to abolish, so far they only touched on 2. That's the E-Levy and then the betting tax. So far, these are the 2 out of the lots that they said they were going to do.
Tax as well. There's
so 3. So COVID is still outstanding.
Yeah, but that has a special procedure they want to follow before.
There's no procedure.
The finance minister.
No, there's no procedure.
They have to take a look at it.
The minority is ready. If they bring that bill today, we are ready to help pass it.
Really?
But like I told you, every Ghanaian will be happy not to pay a tax. Nobody wants to pay tax.
This is the case of, okay, if you want to abolish it, we'll help you abolish it, but then let us know how you now make up for the revenue loss.
Yes, because you need money for infrastructure development.
You're setting the government up?
I'm not setting it. It's a promise made by the president himself. And if he wants to be a promise keeper, then he should go ahead. I'm saying that now he started, out of the 5. 3 is gone. 3 is gone.
Yeah.
So we are looking for, I'm not saying that, yesterday, it was a bipartisan parliament. Everybody, supported this move, to get this bill passed. So for me, I'll not sit here today and say that, I'm not happy that this bill, Ghanaians complained, and if you're a leader, if you are serving the Ghanaian people, and then they complain about the taxes, you need to do something about it. So once the president has done something about it, why not? We are all happy. I'm jubilating. We don't want your meager salaries. You don't want taxes to take away all your salaries. So once these have been initiated, why not? But then I'm just reminding the president that he's not done yet. COVID is still outstanding. And then the taxes at the port, the levies that he said that he was going to ensure that they are reduced, it's also outstanding. That's all that I'm saying.
Okay.
Let me just land. Yesterday in Parliament, you saw the debate. We sort of supported it. There were some issues that we did raise. But at the end of the day, they got our support. And we are all going to be beneficiaries.
Okay. Moving forward, we'll be looking at the alternatives and how it would help. But let me move on to Ebo. Ebo, you think that it was a mere fulfilling of promise to the Ghanaian people, or it is a burden that was on Ghanaians that had to be removed at all costs?
Well, let me say good morning to your viewers and my colleagues here. I'm meeting Mr. Griffiths for the first time. As for Honorable, he's my man, except that it's been a while, let's look at the economics of it. I mean, yes, it was a promise. The president has fulfilled that promise. So, in that sense, it's good. It shows he's serious. He wants to be credible. He wants to be seen to be credible, especially if you consider the fact that prior to the election, Dr. Bawumia promised removing same tax.
Yeah.
Mr. Alan Chamartin also promised removing the same tax, and the president also promised, and he has done, because he won, so he's done it. I think it's good. But you see, whenever you reduce tax or you remove tax, 3 things happen in the economy. 1, there's a reduction in revenue. 2, there's a reduction in cost of living. And 3, there's a reduction in cost of production stroke, cost of doing business. So these are the 3 things that will happen in the economy instantly, okay? But the point is that, looking at the nature of the economy, if you reduce revenue and you expect cost of living to go down and cost of doing business to go down, how do you, fill the gap that is created? That is what is important. You either reduce your expenditure to match up, or you look for alternative source of revenue to fill in the gap. And if you look at what the government did, apart from depending on the tax return fund, they also increased the growth and sustainability levy in the mining sector from 1% to 3%, which is quite significant. And for me, that is one important decision that was taken by the government. Because if you look at the mining sector, even though the mining sector contributes significantly to the growth of the economy, it's one sector that doesn't generate enough employment. It's also a sector that experiences high rate of repatriation of profits. So even though in terms of numbers, it will give you a good picture of its contribution to the economy, which is quite good. But in terms of employment generation, in terms of reinvesting your profit into the economy again, they most of the times repatriate their profit outside. So it is good that the government has increased the levy there from 1% to 3%, so that we can have more money to support other sectors of the economy that are labor intensive. The mining sector is capital intensive. So now we can the gap that was created, that is going to be created by the removal of these taxes, will now be filled to a very large extent by this levy in the mining sector, so that we'll be able to invest in the agriculture sector and the manufacturing sector to increase employment, to increase government revenue and all that. So it is for me, the government has done so well in this regard. One, by fulfilling its promise, and also by looking for alternatives to fill in the gap. And that is why I'm excited, because if you look at the major problem, apart from unemployment being a major problem in this country, one other major problem is the issue of cost of living. I mean, if people's salary, take-home pay, as we call it, cannot take them to the lorry stations, let alone home, then it's a problem.
Feed them as well.
Yes, it's a problem. Because if you look at the wages and salary of Ghanaians, and you consider the cost of living, you realize that, I mean,
we're some magicians.
you come to understand why people call us the magicians. And all these things feed into corruption, if you like. And so if you have a situation where the government is determined to reduce or to remove certain taxes to reduce cost of living and cost of doing business, I think it's quite significant, especially with the cost of doing business bit and the cost of production bit. Because I've said it over and over again that the solution to our major problem in this country is production. In fact, no economist can convince me beyond that. And so if production is going to be the focus of the economy, then the issue of taxes are important. You have to make sure that the businessmen who are investing in production are going to produce at a lower cost. And tax components as cost build-up is very important in production. So I think the government has in this particular issue of removing those taxes, I think the government has done so well.
Very well. Thank you. Let me move on to Griffiths.
Yes. In fact, when you... First of all, let me say good morning to your viewers, and then my brother here who I've met for the first time, and everybody in your studio. When you talk about Momo tax, the E-Levy, two words come to mind. First one is robbery, and the second one is contradiction. And I'll explain why I'm saying that. Let me start with robbery. What is Momo actually? What is it? I mean, what is it? When you take your mobile money account, it's an electronic wallet. And it also has a platform for you to make payments. So it's a mode of payment. Now, if you take an electronic wallet, one of the cardinal principles of taxation is that it has to be fair. So if I put money in my bank account, I'm not being taxed. But when I take money from my Momo account, I have to pay tax on that. That's not fair.
That's what you think is robbery?
number two, you could also see it as a mode of payment. So I go to the gas station, the filling, what's the name?
Fuel station.
Fuel station. And you decide to take, we both buy 500 cedis worth of fuel. You decide to pay with money from your pocket, you don't get taxed. But using my Momo as a means of payment, as a mode of payment, I get to pay tax on that. That's not fair. So it is something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. Now, when I talk about contradiction, why do I use the word contradiction when I refer to Momo? This is a government that did absolutely nothing in digitalization of Ghana, but praised itself everywhere that they had done so much in digitalization. Taxing Momo is counterproductive because you rather want to encourage people. One of the main pillars of digitalization of the economy is to move towards a cashless economy. So it's important to encourage people to be using the mode of payments, that is the electronic wallet, as opposed to physical cash. So to me, I just couldn't understand. And I'm not surprised that the MPP also promised that they were going to scrap. Under a different leader, by the way. A different leader who was the chairman of the economic management team. So to me, it was Bawumia against Bawumia in this regard. So when I look at it, sometimes I get confused, and I don't know whether it is, you can call it politics as usual or what term to use for it. My brother was saying that they scrapped 11 taxes. The nuisance taxes. And introduced 50. More than 50 taxes.
Oh, but
let me go over.
But we've just started.
Your E-Levy was in 2022, right? You had a COVID levy, 2021, financial sector cleanup levy, 2021, energy sector recovery levy, 2021, sanitation and pollution levy, 2021, growth and sustainability levy, 2023, betting and lottery tax 2023, emission levy 2023, luxury vehicle levy 2018, communication service tax 2019, VAT was even increased. You see, some of us were part of in the 90s, actually, 90s, when I was the national organizer for TAIN. When Dr. Boche tried to introduce tax. That time, Elvis Efri-Yankra was the SRC president for... Haruna was the NUCS president. Newman took over from Haruna as the NUCS president. The sort of wahala we had in this country trying to introduce VAT from our friends here, So when they came and they kept increasing VAT, then some of us get confused. So you see, when you look at this, in my view, Momo tax shouldn't have happened in the first place. And I've seen a video of Dr. Bawumia saying that these are modes of payments that are used by people who do not have much in society. Yeah. And therefore, it shouldn't be taxed. Then you get confused. Who was in charge of the economic management team? If such policies were coming out of the same government with the flag bearer and the chairman of the economic management team saying something else. So
maybe he had a rethink about it and he figured that maybe you could also. Or
maybe he was not really in charge. I mean, there are so many ways of looking at it. Or maybe there was somebody who was playing the role of the leader of the economic management team,
and not him.
And not him. You see, so I think it's in order that it's been scrapped. It will help the digitalization agenda of this country. I expect that. I want to assure my brother that all the promises that we made, the taxes that we're going to, so we're going to do it. It's just procedural, differences that has delayed one or two of those. So rest assured.
But as it delays, you are raking in more revenue. As it delays.
You mean the nation is raking in more money? It's not us. You know, don't forget that. You see, I keep saying that budget has two major components. You have revenue and you have expenditure. It's not always that as a government you should be raising revenue. You can also cut your expenditure, and that would also affect your balance.
And that you have done?
Oh, I think we've done quite a bit. We promised to have only 60 ministers. In fact, we haven't even gotten to 60 yet.
What about the ones at the presidency?
Oh, which ones are the president? You mean the...
you want me to start mentioning their names?
You can do that, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. Take Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, for example. He's a minister with a staff of about 3 or 4 people.
And he handles a budget of...
It's not a handling of the budget.
If you have 3 or 4 people and you have a budget of about 78 million Ghana...
He came out to justify that, and he said that it's not just for his ministry,
but for
his office alone.
But for which of them? No, he's saying that. He just said that.
To be fair to Felix, he said GNA staff, GBC staff,
of course,
and other agencies, they are all captured.
They all form part of it.
So
you see, just like when you say the office of the president, NI is under the office of the president. There's a lot of institutions are under the... If you say Ministry of Communication, it's not that you know that.
Oh,
it's
so
not that the ministry...
Now you know.
Oh, no, it's not now that I know. We've always known that.
Now you know.
But you see, the fact that the whole ministry has been reduced to 5 people, 2 deputy ministers under President Akufo-Addo, each having SUV and a Salunka, the fuel, their drivers, and all those things are cost that... Let's not underrate those things. You know.
Yeah, but you're also looking at how much those, you know,
you plan to spend over 224 billion. You plan to spend over 224 billion, and this is the lean government. But we have a big belly.
But you see, that's why when you give me figures, you see, one thing I don't like about the MPP is that, for example.
But you were just quoting figures.
Wait. When you are talking about we left this money so and so, they talk about gross national reserves. Who does anything with gross? When I sit here and tell you that MPP is spending so much, I will tell you, I will just oppose that against. So tell me, how much did you spend? The same
Kenji, I always say that an increase in total revenue. Last year, the total revenue was about 184 billion, thereabouts, and now you're going 224. An increase in revenue should not lead to an increase in the level of poverty in Ghana. An increase in revenue should not lead to an increase in the poverty rate in Ghana.
It's rather supposed to decrease it.
Yes, because that, for Ghanaians, the government is raking it, because the finance minister was boasting that, oh, this year we are going to bring in 224 billion. So he's happy that they are going to get more revenue. If you are going to get more revenue, then the poverty rate should decrease. Ghanaians should benefit. Ghanaians should have a proper take-home pay. Ghanaians should be able to afford the electricity bill. Ghanaians should be able to buy fuel. Ghanaians should be able to pay for water bill, the cost of water. Ghanaians should be able to pay for basic things. So you can't generate this revenue and still come back and then complain that there's bills here, there's debt.
And that assessment is going to be made when? In the middle of the year or by the end of the year, in terms of what the complaints that they will bring? We're going to assess them, or we're assessing them on 3 months already.
I should be able to have enough money after paying my electricity, water, and...
That's what I'm saying, that in the second quarter?
Why? We just voted. We voted for them. We voted for them for a 4-year. We gave them 4-year mandate. And we are expecting as Ghanaians to benefit from day one.
Okay.
We are not going to give them any...
and they haven't been able to do that.
Electricity bills are escalating, fuel bills are going up, water bills are going up. People cannot afford the hospital, and then school fees are also going up. So for me,
come in here. It's important to make this. When the MPP is talking this way,
let me take. I'll come to you. Let me take a both thoughts and then I'll come back to you.
To sit between my
it's hard work.
because you see, if you really want to be fair and you want to be very objective in analyzing the situation we find ourselves in as a country, certainly a government that is 3 months in power, you can't expect so much from the government, but we can only hope that things will get
by projection.
Yes, because I have listened to the MPP's argument just immediately after the press conference. After the budget, they had a press conference, and they if you like, they boosted about their 5.7% growth rate and juxtaposed that with the
four that the finance minister was talking about,
and concluded that we were resetting backward. I mean, for me, that was not fair. It was unfair. It was what I call a fallacy of false equivalence, because your 5.7% was an outcome. 4% is a projection. So you can't compare an outcome with a projection. It is false equivalence. So, yes, we expect this government to do well, because MPP itself, 2024, beginning of the year, their projection was 3.1. Then they amended it to 4. Then they achieved 5.7. So let's be hopeful that this budget, honestly speaking, personally, I was expecting more money to be spent in the area of agriculture. I was expecting about more than 1%.
There have been a few concerns.
So,
regards to that
but apart from that, the budget, if you look at the budget, I mean, it's a good budget. Let's be honest about it. Except that I didn't see any strategy in the budget to deal with the issue of our debt. Honorable was talking about increasing revenue, forgetting that the debt overhang we have as a nation is scary. Let me tell you, 2027, 2028, if you look at the figures, the kind of money we need to pay, the kind of debt we need to service, 2027, 2028, it's scary. And these are debts we have already negotiated. We can't go back and renegotiate again. So that is that is the kind of conversation we need to have as a nation. But the issue of comparing MPP performance and NDC performance, or expecting so much from this government, when we know that the last administration, honestly speaking, some of the things that were done, were not, they themselves they know. And the MPP itself has done its own research
to find out the findings and
why the party lost. And the economy mismanagement is one of them.
But the report is not out.
Of course.
But there have been conversations about the report.
Where did you get this?
There have been conversations about the report.
The report is not out.
So I'm saying that, given that what happened last year, or in the last 4 years, or however you want to look at it, certainly would have repercussions on this economy. And that is what we're experiencing. So money that would have been used for investment will now have to be used to service debt because of excessive borrowing we had. So, yes, we are going to have, we are going to cut expenditure. We are going to have some revenue in to help manage the economy. But I think we need to manage the expectations. I'm being honest with you, because the nature of the economy we have,
it's not one that you be so.
We shouldn't.
Much looking for.
We shouldn't. And I think the NDC itself must be able to communicate in that light, because it looks as if the expectations of Ghanaians are so high, and if you don't manage the expectations, no matter how you perform, because people had high expectations,
it still wouldn't make sense
to them. So they need to. But I want this government to succeed, not because I want the government to win the next election. Because if this government succeeds, all of us will benefit as Ghanaians.
Yeah.
Then people will get jobs to do, hospitals will be built, schools. I mean, these are the things we need as a nation. That is why, if you look at our great transformational plan that Mr. Anachamonte put forward for Ghanaians to consider, production is at the center of it. That's why I'm saying that this government should focus. There's one minister I'm beginning to like so much, the agri minister. His passion for production increase is one that blows my mind. And I will be glad if it's not only about talking, and that he will walk the talk and make sure that indeed we increase production in the agriculture sector. So for me, that is my take on it.
Okay, do 2 minutes for me, and let me go to Geoffrey on the other side as well.
First of all, let me say that the economy and the issues that my brother is talking about, you can put a label on it and say, made in Ghana by the MPP. The MPP has created this mess that we are in. Look at debt to GDP alone, the debt that hangs over our neck. We left 52% debt to GDP. It got to a point we were hovering in the 80s. As we speak now, it's about 70-something%. You see, so when they speak that way, they know the mess they have created. So they expect that there will be challenges going forward. And then they are rather, instead of, apologizing to Ghanaians for the mess that they have put all of us in, that we are trying to clean up. You see, they try to gain political capital out of it. And that's not fair to the people of this country. You see, anytime I sat in studios before the election, I kept saying one thing, that as we speak over here, the average Ghanaian there is also experiencing the economy in a different way. So we need to understand that. Let's not underrate, the intelligence of the people of this country, So I think that, some of these things that we are having to shoulder as, government and then, clean up is because of the mess that we have had in the past. You left in the account that, the debt service account, just $115 million. When we had, this year alone, we've paid billions of 115 million cedis. $64,000.
Where did you get the money from?
$64,000.
Where did you get it from?
I beg you. I beg you.
Where did you get it from?
I beg you, I'm coming. You allow me to flow. You see, and when we have paid almost 7 billion out of that in the first quarter alone, we have made that payment. We have had to squeeze money to make sure the lights are on. You didn't prepare enough adequately for it. When you knew as far back as October of 2024 that there was going to be pigging of the West African pipeline, you should have rather, as a responsible government, made sure there's cheap form of fuel around. At a point, we had to keep the lights going with refined diesel, because that was what was available. And so arrangements were done from Nigeria and what have you to make sure that the cheaper form of fuel arrived in this country. You understand? So all these things, we have had to do that.
You take over assets and liability.
Yes, but it's not.
Yes, you take over assets and liability.
But you
keep on talking about the liabilities. What about the assets?
Please, we took over
the assets?
The debt management dollar.
What about the assets?
You had only 64,000.
You think they've never mentioned any of that at all?
No.
Can you imagine that?
What about that? I'm saying the figures you quoted, where did you get the money from?
No.
Because you had been in office for just 1 month. Where did you get the money from?
Because of the confidence that people have in the leadership. Because of the confidence, when we went to them and said we wanted them to invest in the government, they gave their money willingly. The rates are even lower now. It's about 17-point-something%.
Oh, but now you've written over 70 billion.
Please. Under the MPP, people.
You've added 70 billion.
Do you know? As a matter of fact, I graduated with. I did some of my book long things. MSc in accounting and finance. I finished in jail. I didn't go for the graduation anyway because I didn't go. But the point is that I became aware that when you talk about interest rates, the most, risk-free rates is rather the government's treasury bill rate. The academicians in this country had to revise their notes, because it turned out that under Akufo-Addo's administration, that was not even reliable.
Okay.
The introduction of the haircut. What the mess that you have put us in. You still come and sit here. You still come and sit here.
Let me speak to Geoffrey. Geoffrey.
Ukraine.
That's when I'll come back. I'll come back to you. Let me.
You are aware of that war.
The Ukraine war, we fought it here in Bukom.
The replaying effect of that war. You are aware. Globally.
What about the countries around? Oh, please, I beg you. What about the countries around us? Check the debt to GDP of some of these countries around.
Every country is going through this challenging situation. That's why most governments are losing elections.
It's not that most governments.
It's true. Because generally, prices have shot up globally.
Yes. But
generally. And it's as a result of this twin COVID and then the war.
No, but we're still making reference to that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Still.
Give me a moment. Let me speak to Geoffrey.
It's still ongoing.
Geoffrey is the executive director.
To be
Rapid Mobilization Africa. Geoffrey,
was in the past.
Geoffrey, can you hear me? Good morning.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm here.
Great. Thanks for the time this morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Now, finally, I remember the last time we spoke about these levies, you mentioned that indeed it's one of the things that if it's done, we'll be able to have the confidence of the people because it's a promise that was made. Now, the major issue that has to do with this, therefore, will be the alternative that we'll be looking at in terms of making sure that we're able to close the gap in terms of what we're losing. Do you think that what has been proposed by the finance minister, the tax refund and then the gold board will be able to secure some monies that would stabilize the economy the way we want it?
Before we go on to that, let me correct an erroneous impression that the E-Levy was like sacrosanct. It was actually bringing something to the government, and that was the end of it. At the end of the day, it was actually increasing tax burden on the citizens. It was actually one of the things that will push people to do what we call technically tax avoidance. So other persons decided to actually run away from the platform and then use other means actually of doing business. And that means you are actually also losing some monies from that aspect of it. Indeed, it was also a problem of regressive taxation. That is, people also saw double taxation, where I took my salaries, I sent some of the monies to my mother, and then there was a tax on it already for my salary point. And then when I sent some of the money to my mother, once she was withdrawing again, she lost some monies again. When she was actually transferring to somebody again, she lost some money. So at the end of the day, from me to my mother, actually, I paid something on the tax again. From my mother to her actually grandchild, there was another reduction in that same money. So that's double taxation over there. So at the end of the day, those who were also doing business, those charcoal sellers and a few people in the informal sector who were trying to push money via the same medium. After government was getting the communication tax, government again went to tip off E-Levy from them. So they stopped using the medium. And so at the end of the day, it became a regressive form of taxation. Other social factors like waste of time. I mean, if I had to send the money to the woman who supplied me the charcoal, instead of sending the money to her via the platform, I would decide that my daughter or my son would take the initiative of using the vehicle rather, which was cheaper. And that was all the things that we're talking about, the traffic situations around it and all that. So at the end of the day, economically, it was not actually helping. And at the end of the day, it was actually regressive in nature. So it brought about cases of tax avoidance. And then in even some cases, it was also a poor targeting initiative of government. I mean, they targeted the wrong group of people. We're talking about them to rather on that platform look at big companies like Alibaba, Tonatong, Amazon, and then other companies that were doing business via the platform. But at the end of the day, when you have removed it, the opportunity is that rather people are rather going to come back onto the platform. They will be doing business as usual, and you get your communication tax. Again, it will actually bring the positives, like I told, the reduction in time and distance when people are transferring via the platform. These are the opportunities it will bring. And at the end of the day, again, to the government. Yes, like you said, they were collecting some monies that we had issues with, and that was contributing to revenue. So once you remove it, there will be a gap. That gap can easily be covered with the things I've told you, the coming back of the people to do business on the platform. Again, there are other initiatives that this government has actually spoken to us about that they are doing, which we also actually in our discussions mooted for them to consider, like cutting down expenditure, mitigating corruption, but not ending with only exposing the corruption, but also recouping some of the losses that have been happening. Reduce the poor application of our debt resources. It's not wrong to borrow. Every time I hear the discussion, people lump it only on the additing of figures, as saying we were having a figure of 10 and we have added 20 cities more and it became 30 cities. No, that's not the stopping point. It is a proper application of the resources that you went to borrow. So if you borrowed and you invested and properly targeted it into an area of agriculture and there were returns, there was a long chain of the value chain of agri, and people were running an economy that it was bringing returns, that means it's a good investment. So you borrow and use it wisely. There are countries like US, Japan who have borrowed a lot, but they are properly investing these resources. So they are getting back something better. During the times of borrowing, around the time when there's inflation, like our system like this, even the creditor loses more than the debtor. So at the end of the day, if you borrow to do the right things, you will get enough to go and pay back your resources. Again, government has reduced its taste for local borrowing from the treasury bill market. And at the end of the day, this is going to also affect SME businesses. You see, so government, when goes to borrow at that market, fights with the SMEs over, there's a competition over the resource over there. Once government reduces its quest for it, automatically the policy rate gets down a bit and allows these SMEs to expand by they get the facilities and the rates fall down for them. We need to also expand our tax net to cover some of the areas that we've not been succeeding in, like property rates, rent taxes. Look, if you recently heard about the GRA inviting somebody because the person owed some, personal income taxes, this is the initiative. You need to be proactive and ensure that you collect all those monies that are high income and earning, personalities. You need to be taxing them. You need to explore other means, and these are the things that when you do and do them well, you at the end of the day will be recouping some monies that are escaping your tax net. And at the end of the day, you get to do better for yourself. What the finance minister again did by going to the markets to engage with the business owners on the streets, it's a good thing. Tax communication is one thing we have to improve. Let me tell you, in 2023, there was a high collection figure, even though the employer strength at the GRA was low. It means that something was going right. It is the introduction of the payment platforms, the digitalized platforms, and then also the relationship officers who were introduced. When you tell people what they have to pay, how they have to pay it, and introduce easy ways of paying is a way of simplifying the tax system, they will pay the taxes. Beyond that, there's a standing block. That is, you hear people paying tithes in churches, but when it comes to paying taxes, they actually cringe to pay because they want to see what you are doing with your tax resources. That's the problem. Because when you go to church, you get Kofi Ahmad, the accountability and transparency on it is clear. We buy the church bus, we all see it around. We saw the churches that we bought the chairs and we went to the church. But at the end of the day, when you come to talk issues about tax resources, majority of the people are saying, what are you using the resources for? And if you communicate right and they see that you are using their monies well, you are not digging pits at $58 million, you are not giving them invisible dams at $12 billion, that is the problem. Let me tell you, corruption alone is taking away about 60% of the potential growth of this country. Because you've heard in recent times what people are taking from this country. All these are school buildings. $12 billion, if you put it in Ghana, it was $1 to 1,000, a balance of 1,000 cities. Go around it and see how much you're talking about. 15.5 multiplied by 12 million. I mean, just go around it and you see how much we have lost and how many school buildings we could have built from that one alone. So that's a problem. You borrowed money maybe, or you took money from your resources. You wanted to build hospitals, but you have $400 million. You decided not to rather build about 20 complete hospitals to use it, but you have invested all and smarted it all around the place. And at the end of the day, right now, we don't have a single hospital that can take off the load or make some, support socially the people of Ghana. But $400 million is hanging. That is the problem. Soglami, you borrowed the money. Soglami is still sitting there. You are not renting it. You are not selling any apartment over there. But the interest on that borrowing is accruing. That is when debt becomes a problem. because you are paying interest on it, you are not getting any value, you are not getting any returns, but you're only accruing debt. That's the problem. So once we've done all these, we'll get some money to come and replace the gap that is created. Gold board, as you said, look, as a country, I've always mooted. Why should all the MNEs, the multinational enterprises, come to this country, be able to dig gold? By Ghana, we cannot have the Ghana Consolidated Gold Company, where you and I sitting here, I'm not a rich man, but I can have 100,000 Ghana cedis. If you are ready to come for it, I'll give it to them to invest it in a company so that we can locally produce, owning it by the people of Ghana in an asset that we can actually start mining our own gold. Look, if you still continue to put cocoa in sacks and you export it, that is your downfall. If you want to export gold in a stone form, that is your downfall. If you were putting the value chains in place, you are teaching students how to learn refinery and then also making jewel. But when they learn it, they sit down and they can't do anything because you are exporting the gold away. Why don't you add value to your cocoa, add value to your gold? And then even the financing of these ones. If Men's Gold can convince Ghanaians and get their money, why can't Ghana government use a document, properly arrange it, and get people, very smart people, to run an industry where we will put our monies in it and get the profits from it? That is our biggest problem. Because we are hearing economic growth of 5.7%, but majority of it was in the mining sector. What happened in the mining sector? Majority of the activities in the mining sector were very, very hurting to our agriculture. People were buying people's farms and destroying the cocos and looking for gold. Others dipped into our water body and they were mining from there. So at the end of the day, now Ghana Water Company had to buy more chlorine and other additives to treat the water. That is high cost. So that mining you are praising, the increase in production that they gave you the GDP growth is actually hurting your agriculture, hurting your water. People were losing their farms. At the end of the day, that's the problem. So you are dwindling the sustainable economy part of it, which is the agrarian economy, and then you're actually growing a sector that is not sustainable, that is not the best for your environment, that majority of the people are not involved there. Most of the profits made from mining are repatriated from this country, and even to some hurting part through illicit exports and transfer pricing. For the big companies, it's transfer pricing that they can also, adopt, and then also that's tax avoidance. And then for the people down here, the people investing are most foreigners. You can see the Chinese people in those waters with our people. After they mine, they repatriate all the profits. So you see a GDP growth, but how many people are actually benefiting from
right here in Ghana? Okay,
problem of the country.
All right, very well. Thank you very much, Geoffrey. I think that you've been able to make it understand exactly where we stand and where we're going with this whole, taxes that have been removed right now. Many thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Great. And that's Geoffrey Capital Kansi, Executive Director, Revenue Mobilization Africa, joining us this morning and sharing his thoughts on the scrapping of the betting tax, the E-Levy, and the emission tax. We still have the COVID tax to deal with. Big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise this morning. We have a news flash here on the show. I'll be reading your thoughts and your contributions in a couple of minutes. But back in the studio, I still have my men over here. And Ken Ashibe mentioned earlier that, first of all, this was a non-starter, bringing this whole betting and E-Levy, especially the E-Levy tax into the country in the first place. Now, we've been able to deal with these things. What are some of the things that if we're not able to look at very well, it is likely that we will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve? And that's more like an advice that the NPP would want to give to the NDC.
Yeah, KMJ, I think that it's all about expenditure. If you spend more than you have,
it doesn't look like the government is spending more than they have.
Oh, we are going to get there.
It's a matter of time.
Oh, yes, it's a matter of time. No, it's a typical.
Is that what the NPP?
No, you're an economist. It's a typical African.
Is that the experience of the NPP?
I've lived under so many presidents in Ghana,
and it's normal.
And I'm saying that it's structural. It's structural. We need a lot of development because it's a developing country. So you need more roads. You need to extend electricity. You need to extend water. People would have to have access to healthcare. How do you provide all these things? By borrowing, because you don't have enough revenue. Absolutely. By borrowing. Government may try to cut down some expenditures here and there, but at the end of the day, anything. Now look at the road sector. There's so much that would have to be done. We need a lot of infrastructure in Ghana. So no government will sit down and say that once people are complaining, the president goes around the country, he talks, and then the chiefs will tell him, oh, Mr. President, we don't have a school here. We need this. Mr. President, we need a hospital. Mr. President, our roads are not good. How is he going to get those roads, the hospitals, and then the schools? By borrowing, because we don't have enough revenue. We don't have enough revenue. Again, as my colleague Ebo rightly said, we are already in debt from Kwame Nkrumah. It has nothing to do with NPP government. From CPP. It started from CPP. They left us a debt. And every government that comes...
Manage it better than others?
Every government... No, we've not been able to manage our debt.
Under your government, you think you manage it better?
I'm saying I don't want to limit it to NPP. And
yeah, but I mean, if you look at the trajectory...
It's a structural thing that we are confronted with as a country. And I'm saying that any government that comes, every government that has come in after Kwame Nkrumah, has succeeded in adding on to that debt. No government has reduced the debt. They'll leave and then they'll add on. They'll leave and they'll add because they want to be seen doing projects. They want to be seen meeting the expectations of the people. Then they won the elections, overwhelmingly. Promises were made to communities and then towns, and then how do you fulfill them? Very soon, Labour will also be, because Labour has been promised that the 10% is an initial adjustment, and then with time it's going to go. They will come. They will come at you. And then you also look at it. There are things that are not within your control. Fuel prices will start shooting up, if there's an escalation of conflict in the Middle East or wherever, and you don't have control over that.
So all the expenditure cuts and all this will not make sense.
It's a typical African thing. It's a typical, for developing countries. These are the things.
So then we're going to find ourselves in the same problem again.
I will not be surprised because they have the history, they have the record. They have
taking the country back?
Oh yes, because the president is a president that we've known. Is a president who has led the country before. And what was his record? What was his record? He left us with a debt, huge debt that was not sustainable. That's how come Ghanaians voted against him. So for me, when things are well, if the country, the economy is doing well, we are all benefiting, we all enjoy, we are all citizens of.
But you don't believe in that. You don't believe that they'll be able to make that.
No.
Even though you believe that if they're doing well, everybody enjoys. But you don't believe in the fact that they are confident of doing what you want them to do.
KMJ, I don't believe that the president has the capacity to lift this economy or this country from where we are to where we want to be. But then, as a Ghanaian, he's my president. I'll wish him well. But I doubt it if he has the gravitas to be able to move this country to where we want Ghana.
Let me take a few messages from our viewers, and I'll come back to Abu and Kwame. Now, this one says, KMJ, good morning. From Awudu Idrisu in Yeji. And it says, Ghanaians are now experiencing the true colors of NDC. Yesterday in Parliament, NDC parliamentarians increased mining levies from 1% to 3% and growth and sustainability levy, which is ending this year, 2025, but now extended to 2028. So NDC scrapped E-Levy, but just introduced two taxes, giving to Honorable Ibrahim Babukari, Bono East MP, NPP Regional Chairman. Okay. That's your turn. Let me go to Master Planner. And it says, removal of E-Levy is good, but we shouldn't create wrong impressions about it. It is never true that E-Levy made people to stop using the platforms, as Geoffrey is claiming. He should tell us how many people were using the platform before the introduction of the E-Levy and how many people were using it after E-Levy was introduced. He's not giving us any data. Raw talks without any facts and figures. KMJ, why is Honorable John Janapo shifting the goalposts so much? He's always changing figures every single day, from 1,500 containers to 1,350, and now 1,300. Who are those giving him those briefings? He should stop that emotional rape. Now, well, I can tell you that the E-Levy actually lost customers when that tax was introduced. Now we have a little over 23 million people who are on it. We have about 400,000 agents that were on it. That was not the initial, figures when we didn't have the E-Levy tax. So that I disagree with you. Kofi J has data on that we've said it over and over here, that we significantly had people leaving that platform when the E-Levy was introduced. Now, KMJ, I'm sad to hear the minority and party supporters defending the rot that went on in the former Akufo-Addo and Bawumia administration. We have young boys and girls who, after university, get into government and steal money that belongs to all of us to build an empire for themselves and their families. And you will hear a poor church rat of a person defending this nonsense. I got sick when the AG spoke about Eduboahim's case. I urged the AG to speed up his investigation and bring all perpetrators to book. I don't like him explaining himself to the public. He owes nobody an explanation from what inside Asasatre Lembele. Let me go to Alaji in Playfarm, and it says that good morning, my brother. The removal of the nuisance taxes by President Mahama and the NDC government should be commended. It was a campaign promise made by President Mahama and the NDC. It has been fulfilled. This goes to show that President Mahama is the man of his words, and we thank him so much for that. But in my humble opinion, I don't think the NPP as a political party has any moral right to speak when intellectuals are discussing about the economy. The best they can do is to and listen to wisdom. We were here. We are where we are today simply because of the criminal management of the economy by them, and NPP never again. All right, let me go to this one over here. It says, greetings, KMJ. It is clear evident that John Mahama came to power for a revenge. Is this the kind of experience that John Mahama told Ghanaians that he has acquired? Now, let me show you why Mahama has come for a revenge. They tried all necessary and unnecessary means to get the majority in parliament. They tried all means to get more council of state members. After getting majority everywhere, he can now do whatever he wants to do in his governance, especially targeting and jailing the Akufo-Addo appointees, removing top personalities from their legitimate positions, and above all, benefits everything that he and his party wants to benefit. Can anybody tell Ghanaians that resetting that Mahama told us is what we are seeing? Please, KMJ, let the NDC man tell us if the resetting has begun or not. What an incompetence government. And not in Aguna Swedru. And Mr. Kwame would respond to that. Let me go to Alas and Sese, and it says that good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Ghanaians are happy as the direct stealing tax has been abolished by the NDC government led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the other unpopular taxes will follow soon. And Ghanaians say kudos to the president and the government. The NPP have no shame at all after borrowing across the world and naming the borrowings Dutch bonds, sovereign bonds, etc. They end up giving Ghanaians painful head cuts, and they are now saying they were calling to scrap the same taxes that they themselves imposed on us. As for NPP, never again or never again. Okay, let me go to Musa. Musa Abator in Asawasi says, thank you, President Mahama, for staying true to your promises and taking the bold step to abolish the E-Levy, betting tax, and other nuisance taxes. Your decision to ease the burden on hardworking taxpayers is a testament to your commitment to welfare of the people. We are deeply grateful for your leadership and the efforts of your dedicated colleagues in considering the plight of the suffering masses. We are praying for your continued success and the prosperity of our nation under your guidance. All right. This one says, please stop investing this NPP guys to your inviting. What have they done to you? Take it easy on yourself. Good morning, KMJ. Stephen Opoku from Saki Michelle Camp says the MPP not believing in the budget presented by Atu means that they were actually going to worsen Ghana's economic problem by maintaining and adding more taxes if they were to win the last election. There's clear indications in the budget which shows that we are really resetting this country. If they have nothing to add, they should sit back and learn how proper the country is run. I have so much belief in this Mahama administration and hope by end of the 4-year term, they will do Ghana some good and put NPP to shame. Good morning, host and guest. Thank God the E-Levy is given back to Ghanaians that it was used to to bath in the sky by the rich. Let's all know that religiously the rich is taxed to support the poor. All governments should therefore be guided, as President Mahama showed the way. NPPs alone with only 10% of the population, they will remain in darkness and will never see light until they change their bad ways. We Ghanaians know Rome was not built in a day, so future is bright for us under President Mahama. God bless Ghana and the government. And that's Saibu Awuni and Kamvili who sent in that. This one over here says, good morning, KMJ. It is, we thank the government for taking away E-Levy and betting tax. There's an interesting development going on in our energy sector. Minister of Energy John Jinapo told us the previous government left only 48 hours of power to keep our lights on, which turned out to be false. Same minister told us ECG have 3,000 containers at the port. He later came back to say the containers are 2,500. The same minister is telling us out of the 2,500 containers at the port, 1,300 have gone missing. All these are settings, and it's very unfortunate. All they sought to do is to create fear and panic and attribute the current doom to the missing containers. We need to get serious as a country. Governance is a serious business. Okay. Good morning, KMJ. The removal of the taxes is a step in the right direction. It will ease our burden a bit. However, JM and his people should stop blaming Akufo-Addo and get to work. Whatever mess you came and met must be fixed, because you were very much aware of the problems in the economy when you were campaigning. Stop the blame game. In fact, it's shameful to keep referring to Akufo-Addo when you now have a mandate. Get to work. 4 years is just around the corner. Galamsey is worsened. The price of cement, petrol, and other food items are increasing, and we don't need any flimsy excuses. Abdul Majid in Kumbugu sent in that as well. Okay, Kwame. And I'll take Mr. Bo's last words and then we'll wrap up today.
I get amazed when I hear the MPP speak this way. First of all,
and you're making reference to
what my brother said, and some of the things that the comments that were. Look, it's not business as usual. We are not going to overspend. This is a very responsible government. And I can assure you that even the selection of 60 ministers, which is 50% reduction. Look at the celebration of the independence, 1.5 million. You spend 15 million, which is 90% reduction. This is a government that is actually putting in the effort to make sure that it is responsible in using the resources in this country. Now,
he thinks that it's a matter of time. You were not that.
That's what he's saying. But let me.
Got 4 years to do that.
Let's look at what they left us. Look, inflation was over the roof in this country, and if you compare that to our neighboring countries, none of these countries had even up to 20% when we were registering over 50% inflation in this country. That is your record. The dollar, you took it from 3.9. Some even say 4.2. Let me grant that to you. You took it to almost 18%. Look, you registered, you were talking about 5% growth, and that we have projected 4%. Look, if you take non-oil growth, so there were years that you registered negative growth in this country. Don't forget that. Having said that, don't forget that JM, all that he did that you are criticizing here, he did that with one oil well. We used those resources to develop 2 additional wells and added it to you. We didn't get $1 revenue from those additional wells. But look at where you took our country. From debt to GDP of 52%, you took it to over the roof. At a point, even if we decided one day that we won't spend money on anything, we're going to service our debt, we didn't have enough money to do that. This is what you do. And anytime we say that, you say, Russia and Ukraine war. Let me give you some statistics from countries around us. Look.
You're doing that under 1 minute.
Debt to GDP in Cote d'Ivoire is 55%. Nigeria is 35%. Liberia is 50%. Burkina Faso, what do they have? It's 46%. And you have taken us to almost 80%. And you are saying it's because of the Russia-Ukraine war. Did we fight it here in Ghana? Or perhaps Ghana was an island to itself, and we were the only people who had something to lose from the COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. So when they talk this way, I get surprised. But let's not forget that Ghanaians, the people who are watching us, they are deciding. Somebody will say they know what's up. So, and I kept saying this before the election, that the people are experiencing the economy from a different way from the way you are sitting here talking about it. That was before the elections. Let me say it again. That they, at least, they know what they have been through. And therefore, you can't sit here and make it look as if, we have all of a sudden preach doomsday preaching that, the economy is definitely going to go back because it is in our nature to overspend and what have you. Yes, we need roads, we need water, we need all those things. But it doesn't mean that you run down the economy just to build roads. No, you don't do that. You make sure that you have a plan. That's why you should have a plan.
And the NDC has a plan?
Of course. You see,
and not only that, the plan that we have right now is a plan that can make us manage our expenditure well.
I think the biggest plan that NDC has is that all the plans, projections, and everything that we are making, we place the economy at the center of it. And we cut our quota according to the size of our material and make sure that we don't burden the economy in a way that the bottom falls down and there's nothing else left for this nation. Look, there is enough mess that has been created that we need to deal with. My brother was talking about the debts that we need to service in 2027 and 2028 alone. That alone, we need to sit down and have a cogent plan to make sure that those debts are met. We are doing just that.
Okay.
And the least thing that Ghanaians would have patience to listen to is for the previous administration to talk as if, they left us with something so beautiful and that we are going to, and still make it look as if we are going to mess up in the future.
All right, so let me take your last comment on it. I'll take some comments from Fabius then the way that.
Yes, and on the issue of, you asked the question, so what do we have to do to make sure that we don't go back to the situation we found ourselves? For me, in the respect of the economy, one important area we need to look at, if you're going to make production in the agriculture sector and in the manufacturing sector, the focus of this budget and this government, then you need to look at the macroeconomic environment as well, because it doesn't make our businessmen and women competitive because of the high cost of doing business and high cost of production. If you look at the surrounding countries we have, if you look at Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, you can even go as far as Botswana, Rwanda, South Africa. If you look at their interest rates, their inflation, and we compare to ours, our businessmen are not businessmen at all. Because then cost of production is extremely high in Ghana because, don't forget that because of the African Continental Free Trade Area, if you're going to take advantage of that, then one important area is to look at the cost of production. That will make you competitive. So taxes alone, which is very important, will not make your businessmen competitive. Because if taxes are low, but you have high inflation and high exchange rate and high interest rates, I have confidence in the new governor, the Bank of Governor, the new governor, Dr. Isiama. I expect him to work on the policy rate. Now the TB rates have gone down. The policy rate will have to go down so that the lending rate will also go down. Because if you have only TB rates down and others are not down, then it becomes artificial somehow. So I expect that he will be able to do all those things so that we have sound macroeconomic environment, so that our businessmen can breathe well and become competitive on the international market. As it stands now, no, they are not competitive. And so that is why we keep importing. I mean, why should I buy a product here which is more expensive than the one that is imported? I will never do that because I'm even though I'm a Ghanaian, I'm also looking at my pocket. And the issue of debt, which is, let me give you some figures so that people, I mean, it's scary. I mean, let's be honest, because of our reckless borrowing. 2027, our external debt, we are going to pay about $2.5 billion. 2027, that's what we are going to pay, about $2.5 billion. 2020, we're going to pay about $2.4 billion. So look at these two, 2027, 2020, that's external. If you look at the internal figure, it is even even worrying. The domestic one, you have to pay, if you look at the 2027, 2028, you have to pay 57.8 billion Ghana cedis. Then 2028, you have to pay 52.5 billion Ghana cedis. These are money you have to pay, whether you have or you don't have, because these are debt that you have negotiated. You've been given grace period. You've been given some room to operate here.
Some of these debts have been on the.
I'm saying, of course.
These are not new debts. These are not new debts.
Some of these debts have been some of them have been there for a long time.
I've been there for a long time.
Yeah, but it was 1.2 billion Ghana cedis when we left, and it's now over 700 million.
No.
What did you leave behind?
I don't have much time.
Let me land on the point. So the point I'm making is that the finance minister should be able to put together a strategy so that we'll be able to pay this debt. Because if you don't pay this debt, probably you have to sell this country.
Okay, I like that. Abdulade Efekuma says E-Levy officially scrapped. A loan tail says that President Mahama has fulfilled his promises. And Slide Degrade says NPP's criminal organization full of dishonest personalities. Anthony Derry says that you see this minority MPs, even 88 in number, they will still not go to parliament. And okay, so Derry comes back again. I think I've done that. Yeah, Bonsi says KMJ, the NDC is only interested in propaganda. They should get to work. Greetings, Honorable Charles, Radio MP for Abrim constituency. And that's from Yao Bonsi in Abrim. Now, this one says that, okay, let me go to Samit. Samit says that it appears that the NDCs are adopting a strategic approach, potentially taking Ghanaians for granted. During their campaign, they vociferously criticized certain taxes, labeling them killer taxes. However, they have now introduced additional taxes and maintained the COVID-19 tax. And I suggest that NDC supporters who praised this budget to revisit the market to witness the rising prices. The abolition of the E-Levy is no news. Those who have been harassing some journalists should exercise caution. As power is translated. Okay, so those are some of the messages that you sent on Facebook as well. Let me thank my honorable members for joining me this morning. I'm grateful for your time this morning. I really appreciate it and wish you the very best of the day.
I wish I had a minute.
Oh, you've had
the whole day.
You got the whole day. All right, so there's more coming. Let me see.
Minutes will not be enough for you. Minutes will not be enough for you.